Welcome back to episode 102 of the ATD Baseball Podcast. It's the same crew as always. Your same familiar voices, your same familiar faces. Myself and Kyle. I think we're into week 2 of the off season.
We are. Yeah, week two.
It's kind of it's a little slow, but it's okay. That's fine. Like it's gonna get better in the next coming weeks, but luckily we have luckily we have stuff that we want to talk about. The election. No, I'm just kidding. Um, um, luckily they are announcing the finalists for all the major awards that are going to start coming out next week. We pretty much, I think this is one of those years where we kind of know who's going to win the awards already, but it's still nice to know who the finalists were because I'm sure there's going to be some discussion about it of who maybe got taken off or who should have been on there. But before we get into that, and before we officially welcome Rōki Sasaki to the Dodgers, Kyle, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm fully into the whole off-season baseball thing. I'm looking forward to all the free agents, one in particular. Um,
You can have him.
and yeah, it's gonna be fun. We're here for it. We're gonna be doing all the coverage for it. Yeah, no, I'm kind of just geared into it. It was easy for me to forget the 2024 season, not so much for you, but it was for me. And I'm now looking forward to bettering this squad and hopefully getting to the same place we did last year with different results, of course. But other than that, man, I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm so glad you mentioned the ending of the 2024 season because it has been 12 days since the Dodgers won their eighth World Championship. Um, I'm not gonna lie, like I'm still. So this is what happened. So obviously they won. We had the parade 48 hours later, and then I was off all last week, and that was my kind of my week to really like, wow, like kind of take do my victory lap here on the podcast, kind of just take it all in, relax, because I listen. You guys know I'm a miserable person when it gets to postseason. I can't enjoy it. Like the Dodgers could be up 8-0 like they were in Game 4 against San Diego. I still think they're gonna come back and lose. We're gonna lose 9-8 or something. So for the first time last week, I was really able to look back on some of those games and some of those moments that I was there for and appreciate it. Like, man, like you were there, dude. Now I'm in the second phase of the high because now I'm starting to get my merchandise in the mail. I got my t-shirts. I got my two t-shirts over the weekend and I'm waiting for a hoodie to arrive probably by Wednesday. And then over the weekend, I found the special commemorative magazines from Sports Illustrated with the Dodgers on it and from the LA Times. So it's like I'm
Yeah.
still on that second high of like, okay, cool. Like you're getting your memorabilia, stuff that you can hold on to and remember for the rest of your life. Obviously the memories are always gonna be in my head and I'll never forget this postseason. But now I'm starting to get all the stuff that I can look back on and say, "Hey, I remember that. That was pretty cool." So I'm doing good. Though. I'm doing good. I miss baseball. Jesus, I'm hiccuping all over the place. I miss baseball though. I really do. Like I'm not just saying that just because my team won. I would feel that even if they lost, because especially if they were to lose, I would want the Dodgers. Okay, how can we get to next season quicker so we can get that bad taste out of our mouths and try again? But I miss it. I really miss baseball. I really do. But thank God I'm a fan of other sports and I can enjoy that too. But um,
Easy for
yeah.
you to
So
say, man. Easy for you to say. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
I've mentioned this on the podcast multiple times. Obviously, this is a baseball podcast. However, this my other three sports teams are making me miss baseball that much more. I'm obviously a Giants fan. I'm a Blackhawks fan. I'm a Heat fan, and it's not so great on that side of things. The Heat are okay; they're not great, and the other two teams I'm not even going to mention. So, and college football, I'm just not that much into it. I am a Notre Dame fan. They're doing well. They're 8-1 this season. Um, Other than that, though, man, I don't have much to look forward to. So I'm ready for spring training. I'm ready to see what this club does and what they do and put on the field for 2025. Um, so for you, it's a little bit different. You got
It
your
is.
other LA sports, and the Packers are always there, man. So It's makes more sense for you, of course, but yeah, no, I can't agree with you more. I'm missing baseball too. I want it back.
Yeah, and like I said, we'll get there eventually. But of course, we got some things that we got to take care of here first. But um, MLB is announcing their finalists for the awards today, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I didn't know they were doing that until 2 minutes before the show started, and I jumped in the shower. Didn't know they were going to do that today. I thought it was just going to be like, hey, because I was looking it up yesterday or over the weekend. I'm like, I know the award announcements are coming, but when is exactly going to start? And I saw that it's next Monday. I think they start with Manager of the Year or something like that. Um, so I was like, okay, well, it's next week. All right, cool. And then I get a notification from the MLB app saying that, oh, they're going to announce the finalists in a couple minutes here. I'm like, what? Okay. So um, at the time of this recording, it is 4:30. So they're still. I thought it was a 1 hour show. It's a 2 hour show. Uh, that just shows the MLB Network really looking for programming right now. So they're gonna milk that show for 2 hours. So they have announced pretty
NL
much all
Cy Young
the.
just
Yeah,
got
so they've announced um all the categories except for the one, which I mean we all know Otani's gonna win anyway. So,
it.
but however, we'll go through each one and we'll just kind of give our thoughts and opinion. And listen, I mean, it's up to you. Do you want to start giving predictions now? I mean, I think these are all pretty easy, but
I
um,
mean, yeah, we can. I figured we could just kind of give our thoughts on who we think's going to win, and then a very quick little thing on the other two guys, and then we move on to the next award.
so we'll start with the American League.
All those are announced, so that's why we'll start with
Yeah.
them, and then hopefully by the time this we kind of wrap this up here, I know MVP will be announced as well, even though we all know. So
Uh, yeah, we'll get to that, but
yes,
we'll start with Manager of the Year in the American League. The three finalists are AJ Hinch, boo, uh, Stephen Voigt, and Matt. You know, I had a struggle with his last name when we were picking managers. Contro, right? Am I even close to that? I
I
hate to be like this. It's like Jesus. This guy's a finalist for one of the major awards in baseball, and I can't even get his last name correctly.
no, I get it, man, because
Matt Quantro,
I think that's what
Matt
it
Quantro,
is.
Matt Quantro.
Yeah, yeah. We'll go with Matty Q. That's what we'll
Yeah,
call
there you go. He's the Royals manager. Um, he's the Royals manager. Now, ironically, all three of these are in the same division.
him. Yeah,
Honestly, you should give them to all three just for the division that they're in. But um, you know, this this might be. I think this could be. I think you can make an argument for any three of these guys.
you could.
You really can. AJ Hinch has been there for quite a while, for a couple of years now, but this was the first year where he finally got put the. You saw some of the young pieces that they were trying to get, big league ready and now performing. He got finally got to see some good results out of them. Matty Q, listen, I don't. You still have to manage. I get that, but the Royals were finally able to finally spent money, and they put it together and had a good season. And then Stephen Voigt, a lot of people didn't think the Guardians were going to be any good this year.
No.
If I'm not mistaken, I think one of us had them finishing fourth place in the division,
Hmm.
something crazy like that. So any one of these three managers are worthy of this award. But I really don't know who they're going to give it to. I really don't. Could it just come to down to, hey, Stephen Voigt, you won the division, congratulations, you get the award? I wonder.
That I mean, it's a good point. You make a good point for all three of these guys, and
Reminder,
it's
sorry, postseason has nothing to do with this. By the way, this is just regular season.
correct. Um, taking that into account, this is probably one of the hardest awards that I was thinking of because you really could you make cases for all three of these guys. However, for me personally, I'm gonna go with the guy who's kind of trying to turn his career around in a sense, and I feel like that's AJ Hinch. For me, he's obviously all the Houston stuff happened, and he comes to Detroit. You know, he kind of goes to a team where when he first showed up, it was like, okay, they get a guy with experience in there. He's coming off suspension. Um, maybe this is the guy who can turn the team around. And the last few seasons, he's done just that. I think I'm taking into account the team that is around him and the team that he has to manage. Um, I'm not taking anything away from Detroit. I'm really not. But you mentioned it. Kansas City spent money, and Cleveland had a good supporting cast around J Ram. And some of these guys really came up out of nowhere. And obviously you still got to manage. I totally get that. But because of how close this award can get, I'm going to go with experience and the team where I sure as hell didn't think that they were even going to make the postseason. And for me, that's Detroit. I thought they were still a year or two away, and obviously they got the taste this year, and they showed some noise, man. Obviously, postseason's out of the question here, but you had to get there, and for that reason, I'm going AJ Hinch here. I think as bad as of a taste that his Houston team put in my mouth for years and yours too,
Yep.
I got to give it to the guy who has experience and the guy who really turned this young core around and kind of led them to where they needed to go. And I think the sky's the limit for this Detroit team. And if they spend a little bit of money this offseason, there's no telling where they can go next year.
Well, I can't do that. I'm a horrible person. No, I'm just kidding. Well, also because I kind of, I listen. Some of these other awards we're gonna have the same ones. Like, so I'm gonna be different here. I'm gonna give it to Stephen Voigt, and I'll give it. And for this reason, their over under win total going into the season was 77.5, and his team beat that by almost 20 games.
Yeah.
They finished the season with 92 wins. That was good enough to be the second best team record wise in the American League. I know when you got to the ALCS, you completely got outclassed by a Yankees team, but I really believe that nobody was really picking the Guardians to compete in baseball last year. There was a lot of question marks and a lot of pieces that were like, let's see what happens. But um, in a division where I think everybody thought Minnesota was going to win, you thought maybe Kansas City was going to be a lot better, and then you'll see with this up and rising Detroit team. I'm gonna give it to Stephen Voigt and replacing a Hall of Fame legend manager
Yeah.
in Terry Francona. And that decision came out of nowhere, and it was for at the time it was for health reasons. So he had a lot to live up to when you're replacing a guy like Terry Francona, who was loved by not just everybody in that dugout, but everybody in that organization. And he picked it up and he led the Guardians to a division and AL Central division championship, and he got them to the ALCS. And I think he's your AL manager of the year for that.
Yeah. No, I mean, like I said, you can make cases for all these guys, and I think he's deserving of it too.
Moving on. Now this one, I listen. I think he has two choices to pick from here. He's not gonna give it to the one who I think he's going to. But rookie of the year.
Hmm.
Uh, you got these names, man. They're getting me. The Orioles player,
Colton Cowser.
Colton Cowser. You think I would be able to say that, but I can't. Colton Cowser of the Baltimore Orioles, Luis Gil, and Austin Wells for the New York Yankees. Is there an obvious one to you? Take your Yankee hat off for a second.
um, yeah, I mean, for me, it's not like totally obvious, but I'm there's definitely one that leans over the other two for me.
It's Luis Gil. It's that's what I was thinking. I don't know, but
For me, it's Austin Wells.
Okay. So we're at a stalemate here. Okay.
Mhm.
Um Listen, he was at the time, let me make the case for Gill.
Yeah,
Garrett Cole went down, what, I think it's spring training, or he wasn't, or he missed like the first month of the season, I think.
he did. Yeah.
Luis Gill was arguably one of, if not the best pitcher in the sport for a little bit there.
Hmm.
He was pitching deep in the games, and he looked really good. And he looks like he's not afraid of New York and the media and everything. He looks like he wants to play under the bright lights.
Yes.
And I understand that it didn't really he it didn't not every start was great. He had his little bumps and bruises here, but he's a rookie. Every pitcher's going to go through that. But I think he did just enough in the first half of the regular season to earn Rookie of the Year in a rotation where, I mean, you Kyle, you had your concerns going into it. It's like, yeah,
Mhm.
Garrett Cole's not going to be ready to go. You don't know what you're going to get out of Carlos Rodon. We signed Marcus Stroman. Nestor's not even healthy yet. So there was a lot of question marks, and Luis Gil stepped up in a rotation that from the beginning of the season was kind of shaky a little bit. Not to mention you just traded Michael King away for Juan Soto. So I think it's Luis Gil.
Yeah, no, and I think for me personally, yeah, this might be a little Yankee bias here. I think Louis Hill or Austin Wells can win. Um, don't get me wrong. I absolutely love the way that Luis Gill stepped up, and he really like you hit it right on the head, man. You explained it perfectly. This rotation, I was scared shitless about going into the season. We're going in without our ace. We just traded for Juan Soto. We gave up a boatload of pitching prospects, and here comes Heel off injury, right? And he had a few starts, in the previous years, but he obviously qualified for a rookie this year. Um, he stepped up, man, and he did what he had to. The reason why I'm giving the edge to Wells is number one, he's playing catcher every day. And I still think that means something in today's sport. Um, it's one of the hardest positions to play, and his defensive metrics have gotten so much better over from the very beginning of the season to the very end. He only grew and he only blossomed into that role. He was our cleanup hitter for quite some time. This guy not only improved his defensive metrics, but what he was doing with the bat was insane. It kind of reminded me of the whole Gary Sanchez thing when he first came up through the minors. Not as crazy, but you get my point. I think the consistency of Wells and what he did to this offense, he was a game changer for quite some time in there. Um, I think his consistency just gives me the edge for him over Heel. However, I think I mean, I get two Yankees in here, and I get two Yankees in the next category too. For me, I'm cool with either one of them. I think they're both deserving, but just for me and my personal, seeing both these guys, in a front row seat all year long, it's been cool to see both these rookies go at it. But for me personally, I'm just going to give the edge to Wells.
And that's fair. That's fair. Um, Before we get to the two guys that you want to talk about, we got
Mhm.
have to do um, Cy Young, AL
Yeah.
Cy Young. Now, there's a clear runaway winner. Let's not BS ourselves here. Let's not kid ourselves. But um, your three finalists are Emmanuel Clase of the Cleveland Guardians, Seth Lugo of the Royals, and Tarek Skubal of the Detroit Tigers. I mean, it's not. It's. I don't think he'll win it unanimously, but it's not close. Like it's not. He's
I think
clearly the Cy Young winner.
I I think there's a chance that he does win it unanimously. I mean, Terry Skubal is by far the best pitcher in baseball this season. And to be honest with you, I'm putting all my eggs in the basket on Terry Skubal. I think he is maybe not by far, but he has a gap between him and the
Oh
second
yeah,
best pitcher in baseball. I think Skubal really just he had a breakout year, and what he's done for this Tigers team, it means a lot, man. He is a stud ace, and he is, in my opinion, he's the best pitcher in baseball. and I think that he's going to continue to prove that. I think that's going to go into next season too. Um, yeah, I don't think I need to explain anymore. It's Tarek Skubal, man.
Led the AL in pitching in almost all the important categories: ERA, wins, and strikeouts. Um, and I'm so glad because remember, now I think Detroit quickly at the deadline squashed any rumors that they were going to trade him, and
So glad,
thankfully they did.
so glad.
Thankfully they did, um, because that was a real rumor going around that he was going to get traded, or teams were interested at least in shopping him around. But luckily they didn't. They kept him around, and it paid off. Had a tremendous season, an incredible second half, and the thing that is great about him is that the best ability is availability. He goes out there every 5 days and he pitches his ass off, and that he's gonna go out there and get you deep into games. He's gonna give you 6, 7 innings, which starters don't do that anymore. They don't go deep into baseball games anymore. So I like Schoolball because he's kind of that old school throwback pitcher that, hey, he may be at 95, 100 pitches in the seventh inning. He's going to finish that inning. You're not
Yeah,
taking him out because he's on this planet. Here's why I believe they. I feel like now. Listen, I don't agree with this, but I think somebody will give um, Emmanuel Clase a first place bid
they will.
because he led the league in he led the American League in saves, and he broke the Guardians. He's now he's the holder for all time saves in Guardians history. I think somebody, probably in the Cleveland media, is going to give Clase a first place vote. But it
Mhm.
is Scooball. There's no question about it. And good for
Same,
Seth Lugo. Yeah.
same three teams as manager of the year. How about that?
How about that? Yeah. And I don't want to just forget about him, but good for Seth Lugo.
Yeah.
Good for Seth Lugo. Led a very young Guardians team that needed not they didn't need direction, but you know you needed somebody to take the helm of that pitching rotation, and Seth Lugo did that,
Hmm.
and he helped them get in the postseason and win a series. So that
That was
shouldn't go unnoticed either.
yep.
Yeah, now he got a good payday out of it too. So, and lastly, in the American League, I mean, listen, it's not close, but we have to do it. Your three finalists for the American League Most Valuable Player Award: Bobby Wood Jr., Juan Soto, and Aaron Judge. Kyle, we obviously go for it. Take your lap here because we know who it's going to.
Yeah, so I mean, this is another award that's two Yankees. And for me, I mean, like I said, it's like you said, I don't think it's close, man. This is Aaron Judge's award. He's gonna win his second MVP. He should have been third. Yes, I'm still not over that, by the way. Um, Yeah, no, I mean, let's take away what he did in the postseason, and thank God they don't do that. So this is regular season, and he had himself a damn good regular season. He flirted with his record again. Um, he's a given. He is a pencil mark in for at least 50 homers a year. This guy is now has his batting average over 300 for the last few seasons now. Yeah, I mean, it's there's not much else to say. It's Aaron Judge.
I'm glad you mentioned. Do you think his Aaron Judge's bad postseason? You think that was enough? If they considered postseason as well, do you think that was enough to take it away from him and give it to somebody else?
Um,
Because I don't think so. As
I
bad
don't.
as it was, I don't
Yeah,
think it was enough to like just give it to Soto or somebody.
I don't think so.
Would have been a lot
However,
closer.
yes, it would have been a lot closer. And if postseason is involved, Juan Soto did himself quite a tour there in the postseason to be able to
Yes.
get himself closer. And let's just say if he turned it up another notch, he could have very well. Yeah, it could have been. But luckily, we don't have to go down that road. And this is Aaron Judge's award.
Absolutely. Yeah. Soto, obviously, he was my pick
Phenomenal
to
year, by
win.
the way. Yeah.
Huh?
I mean, both
Oh,
him
yeah,
and
yeah.
both him and Witt had phenomenal years. It's just Judge had that much of a better year.
Yeah. And, um, Soto, he was my pick to win the MVP this year. I'm obviously gonna not be right, but I was close, I guess. I mean, I
Hmm.
was close. And just some love to Bobby Witt Jr. He's only 24 years old,
Yeah.
and he had statistically the best season ever by a shortstop this season.
Yep.
And he's only 24, and he's gonna get better.
Oh yeah.
Face of the franchise in Kansas City, and he is quickly, very quickly. You saw it, home run derby and everything. Um, he is quickly ascending himself as one of the best players in the sport,
Easily.
and he's only 24 years old.
Yep.
All this hype that was around this kid when he made his debut a couple years ago, now you're seeing it. Now
Yep.
you get the hype.
One
So,
hundred percent.
and he earned it with a finalist for the MVP voting this year. All right, now let's switch over to the National League side. My favorite. Uh, Manager of the year. We'll start there. Um, Carlos Mendoza of the Mets, Pat Murphy, the Brewers, and Mike Schultz of the 24 scoreless inning San Diego Padres. Um, you see, I don't. This is very interesting to me because I don't think there's a slam dunk pick here either. I
Mm.
don't. But I think I think this person is gonna win.
Hmm.
But I think there's a case for somebody else. But you seem pretty confident. So who do you think this is? Who do you think is gonna win this?
For me, it's Carlos Mendoza.
Oh yeah, yeah, okay.
Yeah. I don't think it's close either. Um, I'm going to say that on two major points here. Number one, I think Mike Schultz deserves to get some recognition here. What he done
Yeah,
for this, okay, I get it. You're a
I
Dodger
know, I
fan,
know, I know.
but what he's done with this Padres team, I mean, you're losing out on Juan Soto. You're losing a huge bat in that lineup. And yeah, you get some guys in there. Michael King turned it around completely. He's looking phenomenal. Um, and then you take the core that is left in San Diego, and he just took them. And the Padres were arguably the best team in baseball going into October. I mean, they were scary, man. I mean, and it's very viable. Like, it makes sense why the Dodgers felt the way they did after that Padres series.
Yeah,
Because if they took down the Padres, they felt like they could take down anybody. And there's a reason for that. And I think Mike Schultz deserves a shit ton of recognition for that. However, the story of the 2024 New York Mets, and even take away the postseason, dude, the entire story of this team, the entire year, regular season, I mean, I don't know how much of a better job Carlos Mendoza could have done. I through all of the adversity, through the gauntlet that is the NL East, and getting him where he got him, dude. I mean, for me, I don't see another choice here. I feel like it has to be Mendoza, and he's also a former Yankee. Love to see that. I
yeah.
love to see him doing well. Catchy, man.
I know.
It's catchy.
Yeah, it is Carlos Mendoza, and I was thinking about this when I was listening to the finalists being announced, just because I was paying attention. I was paying attention, like I mentioned this throughout the year. I was paying attention very closely to this Mets team because I had them being competitive this season, and I wanted to be right on that. And number two, they're a fun team. They were a fun team this year, and quickly it went from horrible to hey, this is a cool, fun story to hey, this team's really good, and
Yeah,
they're contending for a championship here.
yeah,
And Carlos Mendoza was the head of that, and you know, just this whole season, and I feel this way in the moment, and I feel now he has quickly turned into one of my favorite managers in the sport right now.
yep.
You can see it from, you heard it from Lindor, from Pete Alonso, from so many guys that they enjoy and they play hard for him.
Oh
They
yeah.
do. They play hard for him every night. And his demeanor didn't change.
Mhm.
Even when they were 11 games under 500 in May, when they got off to that horrible start and everybody was calling for his head already, and he didn't waver. He just kept same message, same demeanor, like, hey, we just, all right, just win a game tomorrow. Fine, whatever. And they did that. And I think he deserved it. Um,
100%. And I have
yeah.
one last tidbit on Carlos Mendoza here. I remember when the Mets hired him, right? So my mom's a huge Mets fan. However, my mom's one of those fans where it's like Mets, right? Like for you and I, it's all of baseball. For her, it's the Mets. And when they first hired him, she was like, "Who is this guy?" Right? And I said to her, I said, "You are going to love Carlos Mendoza." And she said, "I don't know, whatever." And once May hit and the Mets were in a downward spiral, she was one of those fans calling for his head, man. And then I remember the other day, she had said to me that Mendoza better be a finalist for manager of the year. So cool little story there, and he's obviously near and dear to my heart. He spent years with the Yankees, so I'm super stoked for him, man. I'm so glad to see him doing well over there in Queens. I really am.
If I could just quickly make a point about Mike Schultz, this is not a dig. I'm not taking any shots at him. Like, no,
Mhm.
I'm taking my Dodger hat off for a second. But first, if I could just make a quick argument for Pat Murphy, he did take over a Brewers team that was selling. They
Yes,
traded away Corbin Burns. Nobody had them competing this year in division. When their forever guy who had been in the Brewers organization his whole life, Craig Counsell, left for their division rival, hated rival, the Cubs, he had to take over that team, and he was able to put it together. And they won. And they won the NL Central. I know the season had a shitty ending, and I know there's Brewer fans that don't want him around anymore. But
he did a
if I
damn.
could just make the yeah, if I could just and if I can make the case, yeah, I'm making the case for him that he. Listen, I don't think he's going to win, obviously, but um, he did a damn good job, and he got a team that wasn't expected to be any good to 90 wins, and won the division very comfortably. I may add,
Mhm.
won it over the Cubs by 10 games. That's pretty good. And for Mike Schultz, listen, remember, listen. Obviously, Padres are in my division. They're literally, down the freeway from where I live. So that city's down the freeway from where I live. So paying very attention to what they do. But remember last season, Padres were kind of they had a dysfunctional clubhouse. Uh, Bob Melvin was not getting that message across anymore to those players, and they were not playing for him anymore. It was bad at the end. Soto, Machado, Tatis were not playing for him anymore. And you needed somebody with all those egos in that clubhouse to put it together and to bring everybody together and win baseball games. And Mike Schultz did that. So he deserves to be a finalist. I know, listen, I know there's a bunch of Dodger fans that are like, how come Dave Roberts isn't a finalist? How come he's not? I'll tell you. It's these three guys had a better they had like I know it's crazy to say because the Dodgers listen, at the end of the day, Dave Roberts doesn't care. We got the trophy that matters, the only thing that matters. But um all three of these guys were not expected to be having managing good baseball teams this year. That's the difference. Like, I know the Dodgers, their rotation completely, was depleted. 15 guys on the IL, everything and all that. I get that. I understand that. And having to manage this historic team with Otani, Betts, and Freeman and all these guys on one team, I get that. But the Dodgers were expected to be good this season. That wasn't a shock. The Mets being good this year was a shock. The Brewers being this good was a shock. And the Padres, I think people thought they were going to bounce back, but I don't think they had them going into the postseason as the best team up and down in baseball.
Mm-mm.
So that's why Dave Roberts isn't a finalist, but it's okay. Fine, whatever. We got the trophy that matters, anyways. The only one that matters. Who cares? These are participation trophies. No, I'm just kidding. Um, moving on. Cy Young. We'll do Cy Young. Or no, 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 no. Hang on. Let's do Rookie of the Year. Let's do Rookie of the Year. These three finalists. Now, you can make a very good case that. And now listen, A lot of rookie of the years, I'll go back and look at them, but they're always strong. This is a strong one. These are strong. This is a strong list right here.
Hmm.
Jackson Churio, the Brewers, Jackson Merrill of the Padres, and Paul Skeens of the Pirates. Those are strong finalists right there. And those are guys that could easily, you know, be great players in the near future if they already aren't right now. Um, who do you think? Because I'm stuck with this one.
Yeah, this is another close one. This is one I had to think about a little bit, but given I'm kind of gonna jump back to manager of the year, kind of the same thing. Given where his team was at the end of the year and the impact that he made this year, I think he made the biggest impact on his team. Like if you're going off of what he did for his club and the contribution that he made, how big of that contribution went to the success of the team? For me, it's Jackson Merrill. And going into October, hottest team in baseball, arguably the best. I think what he did this season, I don't know if the Padres would have been that confident going into October without him. And you got to remember, Juan Soto was traded at the beginning of the year, and Jackson Merrill took a big step into filling some of those shoes. And for me, for that reason, I'm going with Jackson Merrill.
He had never played the outfield before in his life
No,
until he had to play center field. A hard position, by the way.
yeah,
You're the captain of that outfield if you're
hmm
the center fielder. You make all the decisions. You
as a
decide what
rookie,
happens.
as a
Yes.
rookie,
I think Jackson Merrill is going to get it, and he deserves it. Don't get me wrong. But if I can make the case for Paul Skeens,
yeah,
he was he was must see baseball, must see TV every time he took the mound every fifth day. Started in the All Star game. I think people are going to forget that. Started in the All Star game, and he only had made what, like 4, 5, or 6 starts, and you didn't even want him on the team. So let's start there. You didn't even
yeah,
want him on the team. Um, so if I could just make the case for Skeens, started the All Star game, and he was literally must see TV from the moment that he came onto the scene, and people were upset that he didn't even make the opening day roster.
yeah,
So I just think I listen. I understand Jackson Merrill had a huge impact on the Padres and their success, and being a rookie and learning a new position that you'd never played before. But Paul Skeens, people were saying it's Skeens Day,
yeah.
not just in Pittsburgh but around baseball. It was stop what you're doing and watch this guy throw 103 miles an hour past the hitters. That's what it was.
Oh yeah,
But it is going to be Jackson Merrill. But and again, show some love to Jackson Churio too. He was a rookie. He's very good.
oh yeah.
Ton of speed, can hit for power, can hit for average. That guy's Milwaukee's got a good one out there.
They do.
That's the new cornerstone of their franchise.
All three
So
of these guys have face,
yes,
and they do. And
yep.
even no matter who wins this award, all three of these franchises have a not maybe not a franchise player, but a guy who they can pencil in
It's a core
on
player.
opening day, a core player to add into their guys. And I feel like all three of these guys have a real good shot at it.
I agree with that. So this was a very strong um, rookie of the year class for the National League. Cy Young Award. Again, I think there's a clear runaway winner here, but the three finalists are Chris Sale, the Braves, Paul Skeens of the Pirates, and Zach Wheeler of the Phillies. And before we came on here, they had not announced this yet. We were trying to figure out who that third person was going to be for NL Cy Young, and they gave it to Paul Skeens,
Yeah,
which I think makes my case better for Rookie of the Year. He was a
it does.
finalist for the Cy Young Award.
Yeah,
Um, it's clearly going to be Chris Sale. You could make an argument if they had this award, Chris Sale would be in line to win Comeback Player of the Year also.
oh yeah,
from what happened in Boston, couldn't stay on the field. It wasn't healthy. For him to turn it around, and I believe you'd have to look this up, but I think did he not have a 20-win season too, I think? If
I believe
not,
he did.
he came pretty damn close.
Yeah.
He was 18-3.
Okay.
But he had an ERA of 2.38,
I believe that was
225 strikeouts. Oh yeah, that was. Um he's gonna win his first Cy Young. Good for him, which is crazy. All
yeah.
those prime years in Chicago with the White Sox and the prime years in Boston,
hmm
never won the Cy Young. And then he flips over to the National League, year one with the Braves. He's gonna win it, and I'm so happy for Chris Sale.
I yeah, you hit it right on the head. It's Chris Sale.
Yep. No debate.
Nope.
No debate. Zach Wheeler, finalist, good. Paul Skeen's good, but again, Sale in a class of his own.
Yeah.
And now the one that I love the most, MVP. MVP. Your three finalists, Francisco Lindor, Ketel Marte, the Diamondbacks, and Shohei Ohtani of your defending world champion, Los Angeles Dodgers. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
The most valuable DH.
Damn right. He's going to be the first. He's going to be the first DH in history. So suck on that, David Ortiz. First DH in history to win the MVP. Now listen, he's not going to win it unanimously like he did last year.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but I know there's a ton of New York media and a ton of East Coast media that did not stay up and watch Ohtani play. They're going to give some first place votes to Lindor, which he deserves. I mean, he deserves it. He was the catalyst and the leader of that Mets team and helped them get to the postseason. But this is the thing that you're going to have to, for the next, I don't want to say 10 years, but maybe for the next 5 to 6 years, the only way, because remember, Ohtani's going to pitch next year.
Mm-hmm.
The only way that any other player has a chance to win this award again in the National League, you're going to have to do what Aaron Judge did in 2022. Break a record. Hit 62, hit 63 home runs. You're going to have to do something crazy like that. Because Ohtani, this was the one year where somebody else could have won it. And I was making that case for Mookie Betts.
Mm-hmm.
Shohei Ohtani had the first 50-50 season in MLB history. Came close to 60 bases. Historic season. And now he's going to pitch next year.
Yeah.
And I hate to break it to everybody, but if Ohtani goes out there next year and he hits 30, 35 home runs, he has an ERA of under 3, and he makes a lot of starts, he's going to win again. I'm sorry, he's going to.
Yeah.
He's going to win it again next year because he's a two-way player. That's what I'm saying. This was the one year where somebody else could have won it because Ohtani was only playing one side of the ball this year. He was only hitting. Next year, he's going to pitch and hit. And if you want to win this award and take it away from him, you're going to have to do something pretty historic. So we'll see. But that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I don't think this award is as close as runaway as people might think. I do think Francisco Lindor had himself a hell of a year. I do. Um, I don't think it's unanimous by any means, by any stretch of the imagination. Um, but it is still Otani's. Otani's going to win. He deserves it. You know. At the same time, you can make a case for Lindor deserving it too. I do truly believe that. Um, I also think too, if Ketel Marte would have stayed healthy, I think his
Yeah.
chances could have been a whole lot better. We could even be having a different conversation than what we are right now. But at the end of the day, Otani's just Otani, and he doesn't need to pitch to be able to win this award, and that's what's going to happen.
Dream season. First 50-50 season. Becomes the all-time leader in home runs by a Japanese-born player. All-Star game. World Series champion. And NL MVP. It's pretty damn good. And he's going to win a Silver Slugger too.
Yeah.
And become the first DH to win the award ever. Dream dream season and it's only year one. God, that makes me happy. Um, and that's all the awards. That's it. That's pretty good. Um, again, we'll next week they'll start an out. Well, we'll see. But we're doing this on Monday next week, so they're gonna just be starting. But I'm sure we'll have our reactions. I'll do mine for Otani, you'll do yours for Judge, and all that. So, um, awards will come out next week. And before we get out of here, real quick, Rōki Sasaki. I don't even know if I said his name right,
I
but
believe you did, yeah.
he's getting posted. Um, or he got posted Friday night. Came out of nowhere. There was questions of whether he was going to be posted this year or not. Then they made the announcement that he was. If it's not the Dodgers, Kyle, then who else?
Um, I hate to be like this. I do. But I do. The New York teams are going to be there, both the Mets and the Yankees. Um, at the end of the day, I have one major point to make on this. I do think he's going to sign with a big market team. And that's because
That means you're out, San Diego. Sorry.
people forget that you can use the international bonus money to be able to sign this guy. And the big market teams have the most international market money. And yeah, Dodgers, Yankees, Mets. I throw the Phillies in there. You got the Red Sox. The Cubs. These are the teams that
According to
have.
bookies.com, the Diamondbacks have a shot, apparently.
I I don't see him going anywhere other than either New York or Los Angeles. Whichever way that goes, and whichever way you want to take that, fine. That's go ahead. Whatever. Um, but I do think obviously the odds are. I mean, that's where everybody thinks. I want to be a little bit of an optimist. I don't want to just go straight to the Dodgers, even though it sure as hell looks like that. Um, the writing's on the wall for it, but whoever gets this guy is going to be getting a stud. 23 years old. I mean, just look at his baseball reference page. We posted it the other day. This kid's good, and he's going to be good. I'll be honest with you, man. I think there's more hype surrounding this kid than there was Yamamoto, um,
Yep.
and rightfully so. I think Sasaki is one of the best international free agents that we've had in quite some time. Otani like, but yeah,
One of one, Kyle. One of one.
yeah, I know. No, I can't say enough good things about this guy, and I'm stoked to watch him sign with whatever team that he does and watch what he can do. Whoever's going to get him can get a very high number two, arguably an ace right away.
According to people who know stuff like this, he is the most hyped pitcher to ever come out of Japan.
Yeah,
And that's saying something.
it is.
Look at the guys that have come out: Otani, Yamamoto, Darvish, Tanaka. There's been a ton of guys. Yeah, I didn't forget them. Don't worry. There's been a ton of pitchers that have come out of Japan. But according to the experts who know these kind of things, he's supposed to be the best one, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. So we'll see. Maybe it is a done deal and he is going to be a Dodger soon, but I wouldn't be beyond. I wouldn't, honestly. I know I wouldn't. San Diego's not out of it. I think they'll be in the running for him. I really believe that.
I think
I really believe that. But we'll see.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Wow. Unless you got anything else, I think we're done.
I think that's it.
That was a lot. Talk about not having anything to say this week.
I know. How about it?
50 minutes almost here.
Jeez. Crazy.
Yeah. That's going to do it for episode 102. Keep in touch. Look at our stuff. Hopefully we'll start getting some signings soon. Then we'll really have something to talk about.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
but I think we might have a couple more weeks. But
I think so. And end of November, and then obviously you got winter meetings, and that's when shit kind of hits the fan, and that's the fun part of the off season, man. I personally can't wait. I really can't.
All right, episode 102 in the books. We'll see you in a week. Adios.